Hi there, guys. Hope you're well. Right. Today, I just wanted to go through with you how to do a return when you've got goods that you've ordered for your customers, and the customer either just changes their mind, or they try it and it's not quite right for them, or maybe if it's damaged when it was delivered to you. You can return items to Kleeneze. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can do it as often as you want. There's a couple of rules just to go through, so I'll explain that very quickly to you. I always say to my customers, I can return anything as long as it's within the first 30 days. Now, as a distributor, you can return things to Kleeneze as long as it's within 90 days of when you ordered it. But I say 30 days for the customer just because, I want to give them a little bit of leeway. If they come back to me after kind of 40 days or, 5-6 weeks or whatever, then I'm really happy to accept that as well. But if you say 90 days and then somebody comes back and, you've kind of got to do all the return on that day, it just puts you under a bit of pressure. So that's what I say. What I'm going to do is go through, there are two stages to doing a return. So the first is you need to enter onto your account, your Kleeneze account, a list of the items that you're wanting to return. And then we send that to Kleeneze, and the following day, overnight, you'll get an email with a credit on your account for those items. So that's the first part. That's the most important part, because then obviously you don't have to pay for those goods. It's being credited to your account, and that's absolutely fine. The next stage is you need to physically return those items to Kleeneze. And the way that we do that, and I'm going to go through all this with you in a moment, but the way that we return them is we tick a box when you're placing your following order. So over the next kind of week, 2 weeks, whenever you place your next order, there's a little box to tick that says that you'd like a return collecting. You want to book the collection of your return box, if that makes sense. So you need a box to put all the things in, but those two things are separate. So entering them onto the system is the first stage, and that's the most important, because obviously that gives you the money back if you paid for it, or the credit. And then the second thing, which could be a week or 2 or 3 weeks later, is the collection. Now, one thing to be aware of, you're allowed one free collection for every period. So if you've got a few things to return, or you can either collect those things up. That's what I tend to do. If somebody gives me something to return, I just pop it in a box. And then once per period, I normally do it right at the beginning of the following period, I then tick the box to say I want these things collecting. And you can have one free return per period, but you can return many things in that item. So I'm going to go through those two bits with you now. So typically what you will have when you're ready to do a return, this is what I've got. I'm just going to show you. So you need a box. This is just, not a massive box. This is just one of the boxes that, I can't see where the labels are. The labels are all in there, with the few things that I'm going to return in. And I just keep the box kind of in my office, in my desk. And then over the previous 3, 4, 5 weeks, any items that I've needed returning, I just pop in the box. And then, as I said, once a period, I'll just go through the whole process. So bear with me. I'm going to share my screen with you so I can show you what I'm going to do with those bits. Okay. So hopefully you can see this screen now. This is your logon screen. Now, one thing about going onto your account, there are different what's the word I'm looking for? Internet browsers you can use. So depending on if you use Google Chrome or Firefox or what's the other one? Internet Explorer or Edge, I think it can be called now. Some of them work better than others. I tend to use Google Chrome for everything else, but Google Chrome doesn't work particularly well for doing a return, simply because when you come to print out the return details that you need, and I'll show you that in a moment, it doesn't print out cleanly on Google Chrome. So I'm using Internet Explorer for this, and I'll go through it with you on that. So you log onto your account, as you can see here, click on order processing. Now what I've already done, hopefully you can kind of see this very quickly, is I've written down on a piece of paper, I've got 4 items that I'm returning. So I've just written them down, a brief description. It says canvas bag, bean slicer, shoes, and the multi-grater. You kind of don't need to have the exact details. It's just so that I can then work out the details that I need. And what I do first is you need 2 pieces of information for each item that you're returning. You need the invoice number and the product code. So I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. You just go to tracking and previous orders. Now, depending on how many orders you're placing. If you're putting in 2 or 3 orders every week, then there could be, you know, quite a few orders for you to work through to find out exactly the right invoice numbers on these. But I'm just going to show you very quickly how to do it. So I've got one here, the multi-grater that I mentioned. I know that I placed that order on the 14th of August. If you look down here, you can see the dates. These are the dates when you placed the orders. So you click on that. If you're not sure which order an item is in, you can just work through your list one at a time and write them down on that piece of paper. So I'm going to look through here, and with a bit of luck, somewhere here we go. There, you can see there, multi-grater and slicer. So this is one of the items that I'm returning. So I need to make a note of 2 different things. One is the invoice number. You can see that at the top here. So that, in my case, it's 9111950, and the product number. So multi-grater and slicer 910201. So that's it. So you need to do that for each of the items that you're returning. Once you've got those things written down, what you then need to do is create a goods return note. So you start off by clicking on goods return note. That just opens up these menu options. Click on goods return note entry, and this is where you fill in the details of what you're returning. So I've got 4 here. The other 3 I'd already found, so bear with me while I do that. Shouldn't take too long. So I'm just putting in the invoice number there. 6.3, that's the product code of the item that I'm returning. I'm returning 1 item. And then you just click on a reason code. So, you know, in this case, it was just not required. The customer changed their mind. So then I'm going to add that to a box. It's just like if you can imagine, a virtual box on the system that it's keeping track of. So this is the floral print bag, one of the items that I'm returning. Just put the next one in here, 9032396. That's the invoice number that I'd found earlier, and 910260. That's the product code for this item. That's one. And then this, the customer had tried it and just couldn't get it to work, so I'm just going to click on that it was not suitable for them. So add that to the box as well. You can see that's come up and it says the bean slicer. That's what I'm returning. Just got 2 more items that I'm going to return. 908. And the code for that one is 995. 121. And in this case, it was a pair of shoes that were the wrong size. They didn't fit the customers. So I'm just going to put wrong size in. The information at the bottom here is really just statistics for head office. Right, add that to the box as well. And then the last one, which is the one that you saw me find earlier, so that was the multi-grater, so that was 9. And the product number that I found was okay, quantity 1 of those. And again, the customer tried it, they couldn't get it to work right for them, so I'm just going to put not suitable on there. Add that to the box as well. So there we go. So you can see there, if I just scroll down, there are 4 items in this return note in the box that I'm going to return. So that's all done. I'm happy with that. So now I can just click on complete entire return note. So if I click on that, this will now tell me that it's going to accept the goods return note as being complete, send it off to Kleeneze for processing, which is fine. So I'm going to click on that. So what it now does is it's now doing this automatically. It came up with the goods return note, which is a kind of a sheet ready to print out with the details in. And now it's actually come up with a message there. Nothing was sent to print. Open document and print again. I'm not sure if that's a hiccup on my system with my printers not up and running. Bear with me. What I'm going to do. This is basically the return note that I need to print. I'm just going to. Normally this works fine, but bear with me a second. It's kind of useful for you to see this anyway. What will happen is that the goods return note credit has been accepted successfully. So that first part that I was talking about getting a credit on your account, so I don't have to pay for those 4 items, that's been sent to head office, and head office will now kind of process that overnight. And normally you'll get an email the next morning saying I've had a credit to my account. Now let me just check. If I go into previous return notes up here, yeah, you can see here I've now got a return note that's on the system, the one that I've just saved with those 4 items in, and there's an option here to print that return note. So let me try that again, see if it works a bit better. Seems to be thinking about it. So it's now saying it's going to print this return note, and you can see here, this is useful in a moment. I'll show you. This is the address that you need to return this box to. So Parcel Force will collect it, but you need to write that address on the box. So let me just print this. It's on my printer. If you don't have a printer, don't worry. What you can do is you just need to manually write out on a piece of paper kind of what's in the return note. So just a list of the 4 items. And because the reason you need to print it out is you need to have on this return note your account number. So when Kleeneze receive the box back in a few weeks, they can link those 2 things together. Sorry, my printer's chuntering away in the background there. So if you can't print it out, you can just write it by hand. It doesn't have to be all the details on there, just the list of the 4 items that are in the box. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop sharing the screen just a moment. Let's see, pause that share. Come back into here. Okay, I think that's it. So you saw that I printed that off. So as you can see here, this is what I now have, the goods return note, and it's got this address on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it very well there. Basically, the address to return things to. So I'll read it out to you now so that if you need it, then you can write it on manually yourself. So it's Kleeneze Limited, Unit M1, Haywood Distribution Park. That's Haywood spelled H-E-Y-W-O-O-D. Haywood, and then the postcode is OL102TR. Now, obviously, if you've got a printer and you've printed that out, that's going to be a lot easier for you. What you'll actually find is it's printed out 2 sheets of paper. So there's basically the summary of the return note itself, which is the items that are in there and the address you've got to return it to. So this sheet of paper needs to go inside the box along with all the items that you've just put in there. So I'm just going to put that in there. And then on the other sheet of paper, this is just a summary of returns. It's for your information. You'll see at the bottom there, it's got section to be completed by the distributor, that's you, and to be completed by the driver. And normally the driver will just sign that when they come and collect the goods from you. So that's the first part, really. All you now need to do is tape that box up, seal it all up. Remember to put the bits inside it that you're returning, plus the sheet. That needs to go in there as well, handwritten if you haven't got a printer. Seal it all up and then put that address back on the outside of the box. And normally what I would also recommend you do is put your name and your account number on there as well, so that when the box arrives, what you have to imagine is at head office they're getting returns, boxes coming from all over the country, and they need to check that the box that's arrived is from you. So if it's just a box with 3 things in and there's nothing in there to indicate who it's from, that can cause a problem. What will actually happen is if they can't work out who it is, in about a month's time, you'll get invoiced again for the things that you said you'd returned because they can't find that return. So it's really important to put those stuff on, those details on the box and the information inside so they know when they open the box up exactly who it's from. And I'm going to do another little video just to show if you do ever have a box that when it gets returned to them, if they can't work out who it is, who it's from, and they invoice you again for those goods, then I'll show you what you need to do just to prove that it's been picked up. One of the key things though is when the box does get collected, and remember that will be when you tick the little box to say you want to book a returns collection. When that box does get collected again, you will get a receipt from the driver to say they've collected it. And it's a good idea to hang on to that receipt because that's your proof that the returns did go back to head office. If Parcel Force then lose them or head office can't track them, at least you've got proof that they were collected. Okay guys, I hope that all makes sense. If you've got any questions at all, just give me a shout, send me a message or whatever, and I can kind of guide you through any bits you're struggling with. Okay, bye for now.